One of the biggest controller setting changes 2K has made for NBA 2K24 is the shot timing visual cue. Last year it was very early, late, and very late. Now they changed it to release, jump, set point, and push. All right, so I'm gonna show you. It's not identical to last year, but I'm gonna put it on set point and I'm gonna shoot a couple shots, okay? So it's not identical in terms of the timing of very early, late, and all that from last year. But essentially, what I've discovered, as you can see, I have my timing down with Curry there very, very well as I'm using the set point. But if I go and turn this to release, and I'm gonna try to release this thing the same exact way that I just did, right? The same two shots I just shot, right? Off the Curry slide, pull up, release it when the ball's at my forehead, and I shoot it very early. So you know, this is just from me testing the game a little bit. Again, same release, very early. So if you're looking into your shot timing visual cue this year, in my opinion, the closest settings you're gonna get, if you liked very early, you want jump. If you liked early, you want set point. If you liked late, you want push. And if you want very late, you want release. Now, like I said, they don't line up identical, but as you saw, right? I was shooting on set point, green, switched it to release very early, meaning I needed to hold the shot a lot longer once I put it on release. So in my opinion, I think that's the way they kind of set it up to make it, instead of confusing people in terms of, you know, people were getting confused if my shot was actually gonna get released earlier, which was not the case. It was just you needed to release the shot button earlier. They made it a lot easier here in terms of a visual cue of, you know, you're releasing the button as the ball comes out of the player's hand. And that's why I think that is very late. And also just from testing it, you know, I feel like you have to hold it the longest for release. And then, you know, jump, as soon as your player's jumping up, you release the ball, that would be very early. Push, as that ball's getting pushed, not quite the release, but as it's getting pushed, that's when you release it. Or on the set point in terms of, you know, like I just talked about on the Curry shot, it felt like once I got to his forehead, that's when I released and I was shooting green. So I think jump is very early, set point early, push late, release very late. That's about as close as you're going to be able to compare it to NBA 2K23 shot timing visual cues. But we're not just here to talk about shot timing visual cues, we're here to talk about all the best settings on NBA 2K24. So make sure y'all smash a like on the video if this video helps you out, and let's get into it. All right, we're going to talk about controller settings in a second, but let's go to regular settings first. There's two key things you need to do here. The first thing is turn on shot feedback to all shots, okay? It's going to start off or user only or free throws only, or put it on all shots, okay? This is going to help you learn your shot, because we do not want to play with a shot meter. I promise you, we're going to talk about the shot meter in just a second, but you want all shot feedback on, because that's going to help you learn the game, learn the contest system, learn your release, all those different types of things, okay? The second thing you need to do in the regular settings here is scroll all the way down, all the way down to motion blur and turn it to 0. I believe when you get the game, it's going to be on 50. You want to turn this all the way down to 0. Okay, you do not want this. It's going to mess with your visuals when you're playing, when you're shooting, when you're dribbling, when you're defending, when you're playing the game. You do not want anything to be blurry. It almost feels like you're getting like lag spikes when you have motion blur up. So turn it all the way down to 0 and you will not regret it. But back in options and features, we're going to go over to the nitty gritty now. We're going to controller settings. This is what you guys are here for. Vibration. I know some people swear by it that it needs to be off. I know some very good players that play with it on. I personally play with it on. It doesn't bother me. It's really just a preference. Like, if the vibration bothers you, obviously turn it off. For me, it doesn't bother me, so I keep it on. Shot timing. We're gonna want shots and layups this year, okay? I know in past 2Ks, we've been playing on, you know, no layup timing, right? We just let the game time it for us. They've increased the green window size of open layups now, almost to the point where you can't miss. So there's really no reason to not have the layup timing on now. And of course, shot timing, we want that on. Do not be one of those people out there on real player percentage. We're in NBA 2K24 now. Learn your shots. You'll be a 10 times better player if you time the shot than if you play on real player percentage. Free throw timing, I would keep it on user timing. We talked about the shot timing visual cue. Again, you got those 4 settings. For me personally, it feels like I like set point best. Test them out, see what you like. Jump shot meter, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. I know some people think if I keep my meter on, that'll help me learn my shot. As we just talked about, instead of keeping the meter on, turn on that shot feedback. You're gonna shoot that first shot. It's gonna say slightly earlier. You're gonna say, okay, I gotta hold it a little bit longer. You're also gonna, like I said, see the contest system of the shots. That's the best way to learn your shot, not with the meter. Also, confirmed by Mike Wang, a 2K developer, You get a 20% boost to your shot this year with your shot meter off. If you've been playing with your shot meter on, I highly encourage you to turn it off and learn your shot off visual cue. And with that shot feedback, you will be a 10 times better player, I promise you. Layup meter on. When you keep your layup timing on, and when you go up, you're gonna see how big that green window gets when you're open. But also, even though the green window shrinks, you got a better chance of making it with that layup timing on with your layup meter on, okay? Free throw meter, it's like a shot, turn it off, learn your free throw. We're gonna scroll down, shot meter style, right? There's a bunch of different options. I prefer Comet, but it's just preference, okay? It's 100% preference. Shot meter location, they added this in by the feet. Below feet, to the side, or by the head. I prefer by the head because the only time my shot meter is going to pop up for me is when I'm dunking the ball or when I'm laying the ball up. So I don't want to be looking at my feet when I go up for a dunk. I want to be looking closer to the rim. I want that shot meter location by my head. Also, shot meter size, you can go small, medium, large. I went large just so I could see the green window more easily, right? So by the head, large green window, you time that dunk meter, you time that layup meter. I feel like that's gonna make it easier. Shot meter color is personal preference. Perfect release, I have it on. That's just, you know, is it gonna, do you want greens to pop up when you shoot? I do, so I'm gonna keep it on. Perfect release style, I have it on flame. There's a bunch of different choices. It's all personal preference. Perfect release location, they add us in. So you can have it by the player or by the rim, left side, right side. I like it above my player. Sound effects, personal preference, player indicator style, player indicator size, player indicator color. It's all personal preference. It will not affect the way that you play. Turbo and fatigue meter size and location and all that. Again, it's all personal preference. It's not going to really affect the way you play unless you can't see how much stamina you have, how much adrenaline you have, and all that. Your pro stick function, this is where we start to get into that right stick, okay? You want it on default. I know some people put it on dribble moves only, but learn how to play with it on default. You will be a better player. Pro stick orientation on absolute, okay? You do not want it on camera relative. It's gonna make dribbling impossible. That means everywhere you move on the court, your dribble controls will change. You're gonna have to now, instead of flicking down, if you're on the right side, you're gonna flick to the left. It's impossible. Keep that thing on absolute. It will help your dribbling it will help your dribbling so much I can't even explain it. Next thing, we're gonna scroll down quite a bit down here to double team reaction. I would keep it on manual. I think you get bet when you hold that LB button to get those trapper animations. It's better to have that set to manual. Or on defense here, and these small details can go a long way. Okay, pro stick defense, I would keep it on absolute, just like everything else we talked about with that pro stick. Keep it on absolute so that depending on where you're on the court, it's still the same controls on your controller. You don't need to change it depending on where you are. If you're on that camera relative, that's what you have to do. We don't want that. We want to be on absolute. More defense. Who to guard. This is personal preference, okay? It really depends who you're playing with and what game mode that you're playing with. Like if I'm playing 1v1 court, I might keep it on, but if I'm playing 5v5, I don't want my arrow making my player turn and face who I'm supposed to be guarding, because we might be playing a zone, or I might be, you know, running a rotation in a pro-am game, and I'm trying to run to the corner, but my arrow's kind of dragging me the other. You don't want that in those situations, right? So this is all personal preference. If you're playing with randoms in the park, you might want to have your arrow on so you know who you're supposed to guard. But if you're playing with your teammates, you guys might be setting matchups based off of what builds you guys are on. You might be playing with a lockdown who wants to guard the ball all the time, but you're the point guard, so that's your matchup. Turn that arrow off and go to the corner and guard the corner. Let your lock go deal with the other team's point guard. More defense. Defensive assist strength. This is set to, I think, 50 when you first get the game. Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. The best is between 0 and 15. Like if you ask any top lock in pro-am or any competitive game mode, they're running this low. If you have this cranked up, it's gonna make you feel like you're sliding and you're dragging. Turn that defensive assist strength down. I think last year in pro-am, I ran it on 15, but there's been times where I've turned it all the way down to 0 just because I just get sick of it. Box out assist strength, this depends on the person. I know good centers that run it low and centers that run it high. Essentially, if you crank this up, it's gonna latch your body on. As soon as you pull LT, it's gonna latch your body onto the nearest person. Now, I know some people that don't like that because they wanna box out a specific player, right? If they're playing 5v5, they wanna make sure they box out the other team's center. Even if there's like a shooting guard in the paint, they don't wanna latch onto that shooting guard. They wanna move and then hold LT and then try to back into the center to get that box out. But some people prefer, like, whoever's nearest to me, I'm pulling LT and I'm just latching onto him and getting that box. So that is personal preference. I would say mess around with it and play with it and see how it feels to you. And the last thing in these controller settings is passing, okay? They have all these default settings. I would recommend doing a custom setting. Now, if you're new to the game, even if you're not new to the game, a lot of people run this. Pass direction, 1. Pass distance, 1. Openness, 98. And basically, anytime you press A or X, depending on what system you're on, anytime you press the pass button, it's gonna throw it to the most open teammate. Now, obviously, this can be problematic because you might wanna just pass it to the person just to the left of you, but you click A, and you know, they just chuck it across the court because that's the most open person. So you have to mess with this and decide what's best for you. For me, I icon pass 99% of the time. So I just run openness so that if I ever do like let's say a bailout, it'll chuck it to the most open person. But 99% of the time, and I recommend you do this too, use your bumper and click the icon of the person you want to pass to. I hope those settings help you out. If you're looking for tips to create the perfect My Player, that video above me will certainly help you out. Appreciate you watching this one. Catch you on the next one. Peace.